Hey, it's Steve Lukather here, and you are watching Guitar Mania. So be a maniac.
Steve,
Hey,
welcome to Austria.
hey, it's nice to be back.
Great to see you again. I
Thank you.
attended your show, I think, with the All's Well That Ends Well album.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Great concert in
Thank
Vienna. Congratulations to the new album.
Thank you. Everything's going really, really well. I'm in a much better headspace right now.
Mm.
It's been a very intense growth period the last 4 years, but in a positive way. I've come out of it the other end in a good space.
Yeah. So is it the end of the transition, or is the transition still in process?
I think it's it's a lifelong thing, but I think the dark part of it is gone. You live through it, you learn from it, you move on, you make friends with it. Even I'm really healthy. I feel good. My kids are all well. I'm even really good friends with my ex now. So work is good, music is good, and I feel healthy. I'm very blessed there. Future looks bright. I've done some really cool things since the last time I saw you. And life is good. I'm happy to be here.
How do the new songs feel like live?
Really fun to play. It's very atmospheric stuff. The vibe we created in the studio, me and C.J. Vanston, my co-producer and co-writer on most of the stuff, along with all the great musicians that worked on the record. It just had a vibe from the first day we went in and started writing, which was the opening cut, Judgment Day. Sort of set the overall sound of the record. And so it really comes across live. These songs are really fun to play live. And they're connecting so far that I can see.
You have great songs there. I mean, Creep Motel, even hymns like Once Again. I mean,
I'm still a sucker for a good ballad. I don't even know where I fit in. The metalheads don't know what to make of me. Some of them are my friends and they like me. The jazz bros think I'm a little too rock and roll. I don't know where I fit in anything. I just like all kinds of music. Obviously, being a guitar player, I can't help but like a nice big crunchy guitar sound. But at the same time, even stylistically as a player, I don't really know where I fit in. I love country players. I have friends all over the place. And I take from it all.
I mean, the great thing about your music is that you always seem to focus on the song first.
I try because there's a lot of better guitar players than me. Let's face it. Being out there these days, every day somebody sends me a link to something that's just staggeringly amazing. The level of technique, it's crazy now. And what I've realized now, being 55 years old, is that and just kind of clearing my head out and getting all this bullshit out of my brain, like that I had to run some sort of a race that I wasn't really even in. Just to relax and be myself. I'm playing more, I'm practicing more, I'm enjoying the guitar more, I'm enjoying playing it. But I'm not in a battle to be the biggest, baddest guy in town because that's a young man's game.
Well,
and
to some extent you are.
Well, no. Well, I've been around. I have a lot of experience. I've done a lot of different things. There's not a lot of guys that can go from Quincy Jones session to G3 to Ringo Starr to Toto to whatever else that I get thrown at me in a year. I have my ability to be a chameleon-like person as a musician and as a personality, because personality does play into my role as a musician. I still get a big kick out of being on the road, getting a text from Ringo or something like that. Oh, wow, he's my friend. That's one of the coolest things that happened to me in the last year. Is working with the All-Stars and all those wonderful musicians, and actually really becoming friends with Ringo and somebody I look up to as a person, as a friend. Somebody that I go, I'm not afraid to get old. Look at him. He's 72 years old and looks 40, and he's everything that I could ever hope to be as a human being. So that's a good positive step to have a role model like that in my life, because my father and my parents are gone. What's up, mate?
Oh, it's just a biggie.
Oh, he's not around. That's my front of house mixer.
Okay.
For the drummer. Excuse us, this is Backstage Live.
That's Backstage Live.
You know what I mean? No, man, hey, man, it's all real,
Steve, I'm very grateful that you're mentioning your age and the age of your friends. Some of our we are very familiar with your history and your beginnings and stuff, but many of our younger viewers perhaps might not.
Probably not. Yeah, I'm like, who's that old guy? Oh, look at African music. It's my parents' music.
No,
Although all that stuff's like, that's been really good to me, man.
But how did you start? Can you perhaps for our younger viewers?
Well, you have to understand something. Everybody now, everything is so readily available. Like you hear about something and you press Google and there it is. When I was a kid, there was a huge mystique to the music. We didn't know how it was made. We didn't know these people. They weren't. You didn't have access to knowing about their personal lives or anything about them at all. Like the Beatles hit me. That was where it all started for me when I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show. And anybody my age that's a musician will tell you the same thing. That was the moment when the light just went, ta-da! What is this? I want to be that. And I got a guitar and a copy of Meet the Beatles and this quest to be I wanted to be like the Beatles. Never thinking in my wildest dreams as a young single-digit boy. I was playing in a band when I was 9 years old. I was making money at it when I was 11. Playing with older guys. It was something that just fell into my. I was terrible in sports. I was really little, really shy. I got the shit beat out of me all the time by bullies and stuff. It was a shield for me, man. It was something I could do better than the other kids. I don't know why. My mother allegedly, when she was pregnant with me, had a psychic come up and put her hand on her pregnant belly and said, it's a boy. He's going to be a musician. People are going to know him. My mother was very disappointed at the time. I understand. That's not if she wanted a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. But I say this in interviews all the time. Yeah. But in the end, she was very proud of me. She was very supportive. My parents were. But I mean, then it was crazy. Jimi Hendrix hits. Aliens landed from another planet. You know what I mean? These guitars, these sounds, you'd read the back of it out. Where do they make this music? Where is this mystical studio? Where are these? How do they make these incredible sounds that come out of my speakers? And you want to have the same guitar and the same amp, thinking that there's a magic guitar or magic amp, which we all know is not true now. Like I've said, I mean now as I've snapped through history and I've become friends with many of the people that I admired as a child, I played Jeff Beck's guitar. I played Eddie Van Halen's guitar. I sound like me playing. There's no magic guitar. Yeah. The magic comes from the people that play it and the years of experience of striving to be a great musician. I play Larry Carlton's 335, and I just sound like me playing Larry Carlton's 335. It's I mean, I wish there was a magic guitar that would make me a better musician. I'm sure everybody does, but there are great instruments. I mean, a great guitar and a good sounding amp helps.
What was the first guitar that you lusted after?
Lusted after? A Les Paul. Yeah, sure. I still have the first good one I ever had. My father, he didn't buy himself a new car, so he could buy me a Les Paul Deluxe and an Ampeg VT22 amp when I was 14 years old. Changed my life.
Wow.
I mean, he was one of the most generous acts that a father could ever give to a son. I think that it kind of makes me want to cry because my dad was on the road a lot. He was in the movie business behind the camera. He wasn't a star or nothing like that. Yeah. He was assistant director and production manager of films and TV. A lot of old sitcoms. You see Lukather, that's my dad, or my grandpa, And so he was gone on the road 6 months at a time. My mom kind of looked after me, kind of let me. She knew that I loved it so much, and I was actually pretty good at it. And I really wanted to be a musician. There wasn't going to be anything else. There was no maybe. I was so motivated, and it was all I did. Played in a million bands. Anybody that was good, I went and found them, and I learned everything I could from them. And then I started studying when I was about 14 years old. 14, 15, I really got into it to the point where it was all I did until I started becoming a professional musician. Met all my friends in high school, the Picaro brothers and everything. I grew up with my buddy Michael Landau. We've known each other since we were 12 years old. He's one of the finest guitar players and musicians I've ever known.
How much time did you spend practicing?
We used to practice together all the time, playing all the time. I mean, I studied orchestration. I studied privately with my guitar. I studied all at school, harmony theory, all kind of crazy stuff. Piano. My mother won a piano on a game show. I taught myself how to play that, but then I started doing hand and exercises and learning how to read. Yeah. I was, it was just, and then sponging off of everybody, taking every shitty gig I could do, playing in weddings, playing anything that I could do that would make me a better musician. Even if it was a crap gig, I still got something out of it, the experience of doing it. Yeah. I had some real jobs, too, that were shitty, that really motivated me, like washing dishes at a Japanese restaurant, or cleaning toxic solvents out of a dry cleaners with no gloves when I was 14 so I could buy gear. I had to pay for my own strings, and I mean, it's so funny because kids that really are like don't have any money and they can't afford strings, like they have to pay for this shit, and then you become famous or professional, and they give it to you. It's interesting how that works out. Really, they should be giving it to the people. If you have a certain ability, they should give you the stuff so you get better at it.
Talking about equipment, I saw on the stage some Bogner amps there standing there.
Love the Wagner amps. I switched over to an all organic. I mean, I went through a lot of amps. I still love all the old stuff that I've had. But I played through a lot of different amplifiers, and Reinhold just said, "Let me come to my shop and play through everything."
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay, I'll check it all out." Fell in love with these ecstasy amps, man, and that's all I'm using. Use a cable, use a couple stop boxes on the floor, no digital, no MIDI, none of it. Very, very as simple a system as I can get.
Right.
If anything breaks, I pull it off and put a new one on. Boom, show goes on.
What do you use in terms of effects?
A couple of delays, hardwire delays that have been taken out. They go through the loop so that it's a left and right ping pong thing that I've done forever. I don't use a lot of it, you know, and I have wall pedal. I have Strymon, maybe a couple of really cool pedals. A really nice little reverb unit, man. It gives a real nice pre-delay that you put in the loop. So you have your sound here, but then you have a nice little wash here that doesn't really get too muddy. And then I use a simulated Leslie pedal and a Providence Anodyne chorus for a couple things. Then I use a jam pedal that for almost like a univibe kind of effect on one tune. Generally, that's, and I have what's the name of the company? Oh my god, okay, it's a little compressor, a little teeny thing that I use.
Keeley?
Oh my god, Exotic.
Okay.
And it's a little thing. I use it a lot for clean sounds to make simulated pedal steel stuff. You know, I was doing with Ringo on this Richard Page song. It was pretty cool. I don't really use it much during my show. I don't need it. I don't have any distortion pedals or anything like that. I have a bunch of stuff. I like the T-Rex stuff. They make great stuff.
Yeah. I
have a lot of stuff that I have at home that I just bring to the studio and just kind of leave. Oh, let's try something out here today. For my live stuff, I try to keep as little between, you know, it's my Music Man L3 guitar, DiMarzio pickups, non-active. There's a 10 dB boost or 8 dB boost on my, and if I hit the volume knobs that would simulate somewhat of like a tube screamer without losing the tone that you would lose by using a distortion pedal, which cuts all the top end off. You know.
Perhaps you mentioned it. Do you use a volume panel? Or?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I've always been that volume pedal guy. Ever since I saw like Carlton do it when I was a kid, it just feels comfortable. I manipulate the tone controls with my fingers too, but I'm a volume pedal guy. It just feels natural for me to do that. There's no right or wrong way. I like using them. It's very expressive, and I can keep my hands on the guitar without having to stop playing to lessen the amount of gain. I don't use as much gain as I used to anymore. It's more of a tone. I've really gone back to more of a present guitar tone. Okay. You got lost in all that crap 25 years ago, and I got blamed for that wishy-washy 80s sound that's horrendously awful. You know, you play it on a couple hit records. It's kind of like getting caught doing something you wish you hadn't, but you get blamed for it for the rest of your life. You know.
Well, these were the 80s. I mean, what can you do?
The 80s were a decade of excess in every possible way. Okay, effects, lifestyle, whatever. You know.
Steve, I've been following a great new website, by the way. I saw also your Twitter messages. What's the thing going on with Dave Mustaine?
Oh, that's so funny. Listen, believe it or not, back in 1990, Toto used to rehearse right next door to Megadeth. Okay. We all became friends. You know? Marty's an old friend, Dave and all the cats, Nick, when their drummer, when he was the drummer. We knew his dad, who was a famous saxophone player. Nick, Don Menza, his father, a famous studio musician. Yeah. We rehearsed next door. And Dave's always been really cool to me. He's a really wonderful, beautiful cat, man. I mean, he found me on it. He said something nice about me, and whenever somebody says anything, good or bad, there it is. And we're not like best friends or nothing like that, but I respect his band and his work, and he's a really nice guy. He's always been very kind to me. So that was just like a hi back and forth. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Great. I'm friends with all sorts of musicians, and I respect everybody in every genre. I mean, come on, he was part of the whole start of that whole genre of music, with Metallica and all the rest of those guys, So I have a deep respect for guys that are trailblazers to start this stuff, A lot of copycats out there.
You're more than halfway through with your current European tour. What do you have?
Oh man, I hit the road running, man. I mean, I was out with Ringo in the All Stars in February. We did where we did we did New Zealand, Australia, Japan. I came back, rehearsed my band, did this. Toto's 35th anniversary tour starts the end of May. So when this is done, I got a couple weeks off to start that. I'm also going to be doing there's talk of doing something with Peter Frampton too in the U.S. He's got some special thing he wants to do. We're old friends. My band's going to play a few dates to support the record. Then I'm going to go out in the fall again with Ringo, South America, Mexico, Vegas, and then back out with Toto again. And it's Christmas. Okay. And then next year she's got a whole busy year too. So I'm very fortunate and very lucky to have all these things going on. Mm-hmm. So I'm jumping at all these opportunities right now. I'm a single guy. I love my kids. My oldest daughter's getting married, and my 2-year-old is still trying to figure out why my face comes on the Skype. You know? Yeah. I have a 5-year-old, and then my son is working with his band, Cash Vertigo. He's working on his first record right now. So he works with me on my stuff. You know, he's a really talented guitar player and singer and writer. So, you know, I got a family. I got a crazy family, but I love them all.
Any plans, to do something with Larry Carlton again? You
know, Larry and I have just been back and forth on email. Hey, it's time we do something again. I can't believe the first time we did that was end of 1998.
Okay.
But I've known Larry since I was 18 years old. But, you know, we played and we won a Grammy for a record. You know, it was mind-blowing to stand next to him and play and learn from him every night. You know, all those guys that I came up with, you know, Lee Ritenour, Jay Graydon, Ray Parker Jr., all the older studio guys, you know, and then Mike Landau, my childhood buddy. We all kind of came up and we were always working together, you know. And those are the guys I looked up to. You know. Mike and I used to go, wow, we want to be like those guys. Yeah. And now to be friends all these years later, but I'd love to do something with Larry again. You know, it's just getting our schedules together. Yeah. We're overdue. Yeah. I've been practicing really hard lately, so I think I'm in a much better space to play with him again. When we did that before, I was just so excited to be there, and I was just playing too much and shit. Like I was like, you know. Yeah. I have my sound and I'm matured as a human being, as a musician, you know, in the last 13 years. You know. That's the problem with like YouTubes and all this, you know. People judge you like it was yesterday. Sometimes it was 25, 30 years old. There's some drunken jam somewhere when I used to drink. You know, I don't do that anymore. And people beat the shit. Or like, you know, there's something where they only take one side of a cabinet. It's all effects. And they go, oh, your sound. So it's like, God. Shouldn't there be like a statute of limitations? Like, okay, after a certain amount of years, you can stop and take it off. And you ask people, say, can you take that down, man? That's like really like embarrassing or something. No. It's like, really? That's me, you know. Why you do that? But everybody, you know, that's what Creep Motel's about. People like that. So you have to take the good with the bad, you know. I'm a very sensitive person. Most serious musicians are. So when you get the shit beat out of you by guys with fake names and just pick you apart like a buzzard, it's painful, you know. But you know that made me stronger. That's part of the game. You know what I mean? I got a great life, so I got to take the punches too. Yeah. Say la vie.
Well, Steve, thanks a lot.
Sure. It's all very positive, though. Peace. I'm happy. I'm lucky. I know I am. Please, thank you for those of you that have supported me. I really do appreciate it. Hanging through the good and the bad times. But I'm feeling good, and I wish everybody out there the very, very best.